I think we are live. Yes, we are. Thank you everyone for being here. This is our second webinar for our application process to Big 3. We are about to close our process on November 2nd, so we thought it would be good to do this little webinar where we can answer your last questions. Also today, Sergio will be presenting something for the last few tips for your application. And also we have a special guest from our past generation of Big, and it's Luis from Instacash, who we will be presenting in a little bit. Okay, I hope you can really use this webinar to do the last little twitches to your application and that you get in, maybe. Okay, Sergio, take it away. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Amparo, for the presentation. So let me share my screen for to have a little review about Startup Chile. I don't know if you can share the host, Amparo. I mean, I think that I'm disabled to share my screen. Let me see.
You do it now?
Yes, I can do it right now.
Perfect.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the inconvenience, but there's some typical issues that we need to face during the context of the pandemic and the home office in this online new world. So just a little review about startup, about the programs of the application process of Startup Chile in this new generation of Big, Build, Ignite, and Growth program. Startup Chile is a public policy and is the first public accelerator for tech-based business startups specifically. So what are the main features of a startup? First of all, it's a business that have a tech, is a tech base or this business use the technology as a relevant component of their business. I don't know, for example, we constantly receive questions that, for example, my business have an Instagram or has an Instagram or something like that. That doesn't count. We want new technology business here in this application process. The second one is this startup, this business have innovation in their business model, in their technology, and have a different way to add value to the final customer or user in a product or service, or just making up a new product. And also, the startup have the potential to scale in a short period. I mean, go to other countries without getting new big rounds of investment, for example, and they can scale in a faster way with their business model or just with the technology. And finally, we are looking for a startup that make impact in our economy in Chile, in Latin America, and also abroad, abroad in the world. Our programs are divided like this in a life of any startup. First of all, we have the build program is for startups that have less than 1 year since their commercial validation. We support around 40 to 50 startups per cohort, and we give up to $19,000. Also, we have the Ignite program that is for a startup that have at least an MVP or a prototype and needs to reach the product market fit and have more commercial validation. We support around 30 to 40 startups per cohort, and we give to them up to $64,000. And finally, we have the growth program that is for a startup that are scaling sales, and we support from 15 to 18 startup per cohort, and we give to them $97,000. Just make a review, as Amparo said before. We right now in the application process. This will be open until the 2nd of November. So we are in the last days. So please don't leave it at the final time. Normally we have problems in the platform in the last minutes of the deadline. So be aware of this and use your time in a good way for applying for make a high quality application. After that, since you applied to Startup Chile, we are going to have the evaluation and interview process. We are going to review your form. We are going to have, if in a specific cases, interviews. And finally, the results will give in the mid of January, specifically in the 14th. And then we are going to have the landing process. We are going to give support during this period for give you the right process, for example, to get the visa, to get an ID, to make the right formalization of the contract, and so on. And the programs, the acceleration program for Build, Ignite, and Growth will start in at the beginning of March. So be aware of this. Remember, the application process are in our website. You can apply over there. You're going to have the opportunity, for example, to see the terms and conditions. And also, we are here to clarify your main doubts and questions. So that's it, Amparo. So right now, we have a special guest. So I don't know, Luis Chao can, yeah, excellent, Luis. how are you? I present Luis Chao. He applied to Build One and also to Ignite Two. It's right now in the program, I think. It will be vital for us to, if Luis can share to us and to the audience his experience in the application process specifically. So Luis, can you tell us, to the audience, who are you and which are your startup?
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you, Sergio. And actually, I'm the co-founder and CEO of Instacash Pre-Op. We are a startup that we are building a collateral system to guarantee any transaction in the P2P transactions and B2C transactions, starting with P2P loans. So we are based in credit cards pre-authorizations, and we take that principle to guarantee any transaction between people. And well, nowadays we are in the Ignite 2 program, and we start before like a few months ago in the Build One. So we got 2 applications in a row in Startup Chile.
That is a successful track record in the application process of Startup Chile. I don't know if you can share any tip or just sharing your experience applying in the application process of Startup Chile. What you can share to the audience and what are your main tips for them in this application process?
Yeah, sure. Actually, my first general advice is to have clarity about your motivation to apply to the program. So it's not about the grant, it's not about the money, it's not about just collecting programs in your batch in your startup. Yeah, you need to know why are you applying to this program and research a little bit more about how the Startup Chile program started with Corfo before, and what's the motivation of the program to accelerate startups around the world. So as a foreign founder, I need to understand how Startup Chile and the government funds they think about funding companies abroad. So they want to bring talent to develop the Chilean ecosystem and make the Chilean ecosystem as a hub for innovation, not only in Latin America, but in the world, right? So that's my first general advice. And then it's very important for your startup to define what are your goals in the program. So you need to, for that, you need to know in which stage are you at, and then which are your main goals that you are gonna develop and accomplish in the program. So have clarity about motivations and have clarity about the goals. And then you can run through the application. Actually, it's a very long application, very complete application, and you need time to complete it. So don't leave it to the last days. And actually, in the application, I think the main tip is to be clear, very concise. Actually, I won't do a lot of buzzwords, so I suggest to be very straightforward in the information. And please remember that the people that are behind the application process in the Startup Chile, you need to do your application very enjoyable and readable, right? Because people are reading lots of applications, tons of applications around the world. And you need, for example, one pro tip is to don't use technical words, because actually maybe you are in biotech and you got some technical words about your field, but the audience don't understand it. So you need to explain the things in the application to be very understandable. That's some tips that we have. And then another tip, I wrote it here to guide me. You need to add in through the application everything that adds value. So it's not important to complete with a lot of words, but every word that you put in the application needs to add value. So think about it, think about that principle, because sometimes and especially in Latin America, we feel a lot in one question. Like we put a lot of things, and we try to say one thing, but in a lot of circles. We circle one idea and we put words and words and words, and that's not that important. I think the most important thing is to put what you think that adds value to your startup. And the main kit of this is that the people behind the application want to understand your business is the first, and then how you are going to build or you are going to accomplish what you say that you are going to do. So you need to prove with a lot of metrics or a lot of data how you are going to accomplish that goal or that company, that vision that you are gonna do. Because when we are founders, we are very passionate about our idea, and we think that our idea is the best. But how you communicate that, and how you try to convince with solid arguments, I think is very important. And basically, I think that's all. Maybe well, measurable. Everything is like looking forward validation, so need to be validated. And one important thing is that be clear about how your startup it's gonna impact the Chilean ecosystem. Why you want to go to Chile? Why you want to impact the Chilean ecosystem? And so I recommend to research about the country. I recommend to research about the business ecosystem in Latin America and in Chile, and why Chile is important for your startup development.
I'm totally agree with all your statement, Luis. I mean, it's exactly what we are looking for in application form, and you need to be straight to the point sometimes, and also you need to consider information that add value to your application. So I have another question, Luis. Basically, we have a bunch of acceleration program broadly. I mean, in United States, for example, in Latin America, we have some examples, but in your experience in the acceleration process, why you select, for example, the startup Chile programs instead of others that are available in the market?
Yeah, for us as a Peruvian company located in South America, actually we test our first beta in Peru, and then we consider Chile as a hub and a gateway to make our technology global, maybe first regional and then global. So we find that Chilean business ecosystem is very well connected worldwide, and Startup Chile is one of the first government-based programs. And actually, what Startup Chile builds is the whole ecosystem. There are institutions, government, they have corporate partners, they have a lot of mentors. So you guys did it very well and comply all these synergies between an ecosystem, and we found it very powerful. Actually, for us, like in South America, we find that Chile has the best relationships with the other innovation hubs and the other business development around the world. Chile is very well positioned in Americas, with the US as well. Very good relations with European ecosystem of business, and very good relationship with Asia as well. So we find it like a strategic point. The second thing is that for business, Chile is a great country because the institutions that is backed in the government, I think it's easy for a foreigner doing business in Chile. So those are our main motivations to test our product in Chile. But nowadays we are based in Chile as well. We are fundraising in Chile. We raised some rounds in our startup in Chilean venture capital. So I think Chile is very important. We proved that Chile is very important in our company history.
Thank you very much for sharing your experience and also your tips in for the applicants at Startup Chile, Luis. So thank you very much for being here with us in this webinar, and also we are going to see more startup like Instacash in the future and in the next generation of Startup Chile. So thank you very much, Luis. So right now, sure. Thank you very much, Luis. So right now we are going to pass to the Q&A section. So Amparo, take it away.
Yes, thank you, Luis. That was so good. Very nice tips on how to get your application done. Right now we're gonna welcome Cristobal Madrid, who is from our finance team, answering your questions about more technical stuff of the application. Hello, Cristobal. Thank you for being here.
Hello, guys. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. I'm gonna go on YouTube and read your questions. We have left a question box on Instagram, and also we're answering questions from YouTube. So if you have any questions about the form, about your application, about your startup, if you should apply to something, to build, ignite, whatever, just leave it there and we're gonna be answering them, okay? So the first question that I want to ask, and this is a lot of them actually ask this, is if this whole thing is online, is in person. I think this is a very important question for what we're living today with COVID.
I mean, yes, in regards of the context of the pandemic, we understand that situation, and sometimes we make exception to formalize the contract with us, for example, to give the fund. And we have we can manage the situation depending on the context. Right now, the boundaries are open. So if you are a foreign startup, it's really important that you can settle down in Chile, specifically for to come to come and participate to all our activities. And it's really important for us for the formalization, the process of the formalization of the contract with us, and give this fund specifically. Right now, the activities of the acceleration program are online. That means that, for example, if you are going to have a session with mentors, you can use an online platform for that and get connection with them. Right now, for example, we are make events physically in the co-work, and so we adapt depending on the context. So don't make sure that we are going to take care about any situation or any inconvenience in regards to come to Chile, for example, or just to formalize your contract here. But it's really, really important that you need to be here in Chile for sign the contract and make the right errands, for example, to getting the visa, getting your ID, to open a bank account, for example, and so on.
Excellent. Just as a reminder, we're going to be having the same webinar in Spanish at 4 p.m. So if you're a Spanish speaker or you want to see this again, we're going to have it at 4 p.m. Okay. Cristobal, this is for you. How does the co-financing work for Build?
Okay, for Build, the total budget for all the startups is 10 Chilean million pesos. Okay, you can like have an extra budget of 5 Chilean million pesos, and you have to contribute with the 10%. Okay, so the numbers is a bit complicated. So the total budget is like 11 millions and a bit more. So you have to contribute with the 10% of that. But Corfo is going to give you 10 Chilean million pesos. And if you have the extension of Demo Day, you will have an extra 5 Chilean million pesos, okay? And your contribution will be through your expenses. So our expenses that will be evaluated by your BizDev and your financial executive in the financial and technical meetings.
Perfect. About expenses, I have seen a lot of questions about what can you cover specifically if they can come to Chile and put that in the expenses, like for example, the whole travel thing, visas, how does that work?
Yeah, for sure. You can include for example, the plane ticket. You can include all the legal costs of the visa. Sometimes you have to make some payments in the consulate. Or for example, if you want to, I don't know, if you need to go some other place to make these legal processes, sometimes I don't know, talking about Chile, I'm here in Santiago and I have to travel to Valparaiso, for example, to make some legal processes. Yes, I can cover that and I can evaluate that with my BizDev. So if you want to come to Chile, we can cover all the expenses. And also, for example, you can include your health insurance. Okay, so, and we highly recommend, especially in these conditions, as Sergio explained, to do that, to include your health insurance in the cost of the budget.
Perfect. I have a question. This is more technical about the form. So Sergio, if you can answer this. I have also received a lot of this, and it's that the application doesn't allow us to put 2021 in various sections. This is something that I think that we fixed, but Sergio, if you can confirm that.
Yes, yes, Amparo. I mean, that statement is right. We have little complaints in regards to that part. For example, to put the year when you start with the company or you have incorporation in other countries, for example. There's sometimes that you cannot you cannot type 2021, but right now it's fixed. So if you have this problem, you can save your application form, refresh the link, and then you will have available that option. So right now is already fixed in that part. So you can apply with you can apply and type 2021 in those boxes.
Perfect. Thank you. The following question is, if you are accepted into one of the programs, once you graduate, can you apply to the following one?
Sorry. I mean, the mute button, it doesn't work. Okay. I mean, you can apply. Is our methodology is working in a funnel way. So if you apply and you are selected in the Build program, you can pass also to the Ignite and Growth program in that order. That is the reason why we open all the programs at the same time. And also, if you are in the Build program, you can apply right now. If you are in the Build program, you can apply to the Ignite program of this generation Big 3. But you need to take care about two things. First of all, you need to execute all the grants in regards to the Build the build program that you are in right now. And the second one, if you have, for example, another fund of Corfo executed right now, you need to finish that for starting the next one. Sometimes there are some questions in regard, for example, I don't know, I have another fund in other department in Corfo. So if I know, I am applying right now to other funds in Corfo. So sometimes you can be selected in that fund and also the funds here in Startup Chile. And if is that the case, you need to choose one in order to execute only one, because you cannot execute it twice, the both of them, the both funds at the same time. So be aware of this. Also, we are going to see case by case in some when we select the whole generation. But be aware of this in order to don't have any inconvenience in the future.
Perfect. For case, there's a lot of people asking about financing, about payments for the founder and the co-founders. How does that work?
About salaries, for example, something like that?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, for the 3 lines, build, ignite, and growth, you can present a salary of 1 trillion million pesos, okay, for all the co-founders of the startup, okay? And it's very important to include in your application who is part of your team, okay? So we can use this rule for all of you, And yeah, that's it. If you want to come to Chile, for example, with your son, and you have sons, children, sorry, you can come with them and we can add like 200,000, yeah, Chilean million pesos extra to your salary, okay? And that's for the 3 lines.
I want to add something. I mean, in the application form, you have the opportunity to explain who of you are the team leader that is going to be the counterpart with you in the contract with Corfo, and also who are your co-founders. And it's very important that you can apply with all the co-founders that you want to select to come to Chile, because if you are not included in the application form, probably you are not going to be able to pay salary for them.
Exactly.
One extra thing, sorry, Amparo. It is very important what Sergio is saying, because especially for the team leader, we are going to ask for like the Chilean rules for the salary. What this means, that you have to be here in Chile, you need to have a root number, you have to be like registered in the tax office here in Chile. So for the team leader, we need to use these rules, okay? For the co-founders, all the other guys, it's more flexible, okay?
Perfect. As a reminder, we're receiving questions on Instagram and YouTube, so put them in the chat box if you want it answered. This is also a question that's very frequently asked, and is if you can apply to the program and also be in a Corfo program at the same time. So for example, Semilla. I want to be very clear with this because it's a really frequently asked question.
I mean, I explained it briefly some minutes ago, but if you're I highly recommend that you can apply to all the programs in Corfo. I mean, you can apply to everyone. I mean, there is no restriction over there, but will be a restriction in order to, if you for example, if you are selected in the Semilla, that is a fund of the entrepreneurship department of Corfo, and for example, the Ignite build programs here at Startup Chile, you need to select one of both funds, because you cannot execute the grants at the same time. So you can, I mean, right now we are going to the selection process will be the results of the selection process will be announced at the mid of January. So if you have the Semilla at that time, you need to select which fund of Corfo do you want to use in the next month. And also, if you are executing a semilla, for example, or something like that, you need to close that fund and declare all the expenses before to start the big any program at Startup Chile in March.
Perfect. I have another question. So can only the founder move to Chile and the other co-founders stay at their countries?
Yes.
Go ahead,
I
Chris.
know. Yeah. Yeah. The co-founders can be in their countries. It's mandatory to come to Chile for the team leader. But yeah, Sergio said we highly recommend to come to Chile for all the team. We can cover the tickets of the team, and for sure we highly recommend to do that. I don't know, Sergio, if you want to add something to that.
I mean, as Cristobal said, it's mandatory that the team leader comes to Chile and settle down to get a visa and receive the fund. And you can come, and it's an option. And it's up to you to if you want to come with co-founders. But we highly recommend to you come with your co-founder. But sometimes you need to manage a lot of things here. I mean, for example, to reach other clients here in Chile, to take advantage, for example, to the acceleration program. There's sometimes that there's a lot of activity here. We highly recommend to come with one co-founder, for example, but it's not mandatory. It's only mandatory for the team leader, not for the co-founder. It's up to you.
Perfect, thank you. About the dedication of the founder, it says that it's 40 hours per week. How do you regulate that though?
That is a interesting question, because we try to support the startup that have founders that have an exclusive dedication in the business. We regulate that in order that, for example, if you are applying right now with a startup and you have another job, you can we will make sure and we'll track you at the beginning of the acceleration program and the whole acceleration program, your main activity. And if we found any irregularity in this case, for example, that you have two jobs, we can put a record in the program, and you need to close your project here at Startup Chile specifically. So is something that we worry about. We support startups and founders that have exclusive dedication in their business. So you can, for example, apply with not the total dedication right now, but you need to have exclusive dedication at the beginning of the program. That is going to be at the beginning of March.
Super. I have a question from Christian right here. It says, what about the equity value of founders when the enterprise is not yet formed? How do you well, he's establishing 1/3 per founder, but he doesn't know if that's the expected value. How does it work when you don't legally have some part of the enterprise?
That is another interesting question. I mean, right now, for example, if you have around a 4 months or 3 months, if you have, for example, I don't know, you are the team leader and you have 2 or 3 co-founders more, you can divide it the total of the equity in the same side. I mean, 25%. We understand if you apply as a natural person that you don't have it, but you need to put that you have an important you are really important in the decision making of the company. As I said before, if you are applying as a natural person, and for example, if you are starting I don't know, 2 months ago or 4 months ago, you can split your equity between you and your co-founders, sorry.
Perfect. Kathleen asks, is there only one application round per year? If we don't do this round, will we have to wait for October of next year?
I mean, we don't have the next date of the application process, but normally we support 2 cohorts per program. So that means we open 2 application process per year. Normally we have one in the middle or in March or between March or April, and the other one we open, and the second one will be open, for example, between October and November. But it also depends in what are the budget that we have, for example, or the times and the dates that we can launch those application process. But normally we have 2 application process per year. Mm-hmm.
Super. Chris, this is for you. Can they finance things from lab, like laboratory, like things for their MVPs?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. Yeah.
What about like the whole MVP thing is totally financed by us, right?
Yeah. In fact, in the case of build program, you usually are going to use the funds to make all those processes. For the scientific investigations, you need to spend the money in some products of your laboratory, and or for example, if you want to make something like to create a hardware, you need to buy the components of that hardware. Yeah, you can include that in your budget. Okay, make sure, as I explained before, to evaluate all those details with your biz dev at the right time. But yeah, potentially you can do that.
Perfect. Kathleen also asks, does business start, this is from the form, does business start refer to the time of the incorporation, time of the team formation, product formation? What does that mean, the business start thing?
I mean, if you are applying as a natural person, for example, for foreign company, we count down when you start your commercial validation. That's mean when you need to put in the form, when do you start, when did you start your commercial validation, or if you have any corporation in other countries, you need to explain into details along the form. If you are applying as a company here in Chile, we are going to count when the beginning of the activities and the incorporation with the internal services, internal revenue services like Servicio de Impuestos Internos. So it's depending on which way you apply to Startup Chile, as a natural person or as a company here in Chile.
Super. Gabriela asks, is there any disadvantage if I sign up for Build and Ignite? She doesn't know which one is better for them. How would she have to choose?
I mean, I highly recommend that you can apply in all the programs that you think you achieve all the requirements. So in my advice, if you have all the requirements to apply to the Build program and the Ignite program, just do it. I mean, you can do it. It's not any disadvantage. However, there's sometimes, for example, if you are applying to the Ignite program and you just have an MVP that is the minimum, the minimum requirements for applying to that program, these are recommendation, because the Ignite program is very competitive. The Ignite program is very competitive. So we are going to see, for example, in that part, that some startups have a really good commercial validation, are increasing in sales, for example. So it's really competitive according that stage. You need to focus and take care about the focus of the program. First of all, the Build program is for develop a prototype and develop the technology. You can start as a concept startup. And the Ignite program is for startups that have at least a prototype and, for example, or at least an MVP, and wants, for example, to reach the product market fit and get more commercial validation. So be aware of this. It's not only to achieve the requirements, it's also the focus in regards to the programs and the main objectives that these programs have here at Startup Chile.
Mm-hmm. Gabriela asked also, does the money, like the amount of money, depends on how many people we have in our team, or is it the same for everything? Chris?
No, it's the same money for everything. Yeah.
So you would have to choose, yeah.
Yeah.
You decide who joins you.
Exactly.
Decide very wisely. Yeah, this was already managed. This is already answered. They ask if the team leader can move with their family to Chile. We already answered this, and this video will be in our YouTube. So if you want to look at it and watch it again, it's going to be on our YouTube page in a few minutes. Okay. We have 5 more minutes, so if you have any more questions, just do it right now, or it's now or never. But at 4 p.m. we have the same session in Spanish. Manish also asked, the company was registered in 2015, but we pivoted last year in September. They became a SaaS firm. Can they apply?
It's dependent on the context. I mean, right now, if you, for example, you develop, you are in 2015, you are dedicated as a consulting company, for example, and you are having, for example, a spin-off in our technology that you start, for example, 1 year ago or 3 years ago. You can apply since that pivot or when you started this spin-off. But if you are applying as with a company that have a sub-product of innovation, for example, and you have another technology and wants to apply with that company that you created in 2015, we are going to count that year, and not when you start that technology, because we support emerging companies. That means that we support startups and entrepreneurship specifically that start a new technology and wants to reach out a more commercial validation. So we don't support companies that have too much years. Specifically, it's depending on also the requirement, as I said before, of the programs, but we support an emerging company. So it's depending on the case, but if you have a spin-off, for example, you can apply it.
Cool, because there's a lot of those, right? I mean, Andres, he asked if it's okay to answer the questions in Spanish, even though the questions are in English. I think this is a form thing from Charlie, right?
Yes, I mean, you can apply in Spanish or in English. We recommend you to apply in English specifically. We want a global startup, so we want global. You need to demonstrate that you are a global startup and you can reach other markets globally. So specifically, I recommend to apply in English, but you can apply in Spanish if you want.
Cool. We have 1 more minute, so I'm gonna ask the question that I always do on webinars, and is that you, Sergio and Chris, answer what is the most important thing in your form, or what do you like most pay attention to when evaluating? Sergio?
I mean, every section is really important. I mean, we take care about the whole form, but also focus your application depending on the programs that you are applying. For example, if you are applying to the build program, probably we're going to focus more in the abilities of the team. For example, if you are applying to the ENG program, we are going to focus more in the traction. For example, if you are applying to the growth program, we are going to take care more about the scalability that your business has, for example, or the growth plan that you offer for the Startup Chile. So take care about those about the objectives that every programs have in Startup Chile, but as I said before, we take care about the whole form, and it's important that you can deep into details all the question. But go straight to the point. I mean, I mean, you can deep into it, but as we have discussed with with lists, it's very important that you can add information that can add value to your application form.
Chris, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, very quickly. It's very important to think about the team. Thinking about the financial process, it is very important to know who is the team leader. Remember that the team leader is the only one, or the beneficiary for us, is the only one that can make the expenses. If you apply it as a company, the company is the one that makes expenses. And if you apply it as an individual, that individual, the team leader, is going to make the expenses of your startup, okay? That means that all the financial process is going to be linked to that person, okay? And obviously all the expenses like the plane ticket, like the health insurance that we talk about, the extra salary is associated to this person, to the team leader, okay? So make sure to think about that, to think about who is going to be the one that is going to represent you in the program before you apply, okay?
And also,
Excellent.
you cannot change the team leader since you apply to a Startup Chile. So
Exactly.
Very
be
important.
aware of this. Yes.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Sergio and Chris. This was really helpful. So many people are thanking us in YouTube. So thank you guys for joining us. And we will have the same webinar in Spanish at 4 p.m. So see you guys in 15 more minutes. And remember, you just have until November 2nd to submit your applications to Big 3. Okay, thank you guys.